Hey everybody, Bungzy here with another Ultralight review on Ultralight backpacking. I recently uploaded a pack explosion from my recent Yellowstone backcountry trip, followed by a video on my worn weight. I'll throw links to them and anything else I mentioned today in the video description down below. Today though, we're talking gear fails from this little adventure. I actually have 5 of them for you, so let's jump in. Gear fail number 1 were my trekking poles. My brother-in-law was using my favorite Gossamer gear poles, so I used something new on this trip, namely Z-Pack's descriptively named carbon fiber trekking poles. I'll do a standalone review on them, so I'll keep them this short. They have several redeeming qualities, such as their weight, super light, and their length. They actually extend longer than most trekking poles, allowing you to support your Ultraplex tent without any tent pole jacks or straps. But they had one particular drawback that almost drove me crazy. They are noisy. Actually, that doesn't do it justice. They make an extremely grating, I don't know how to describe it, but call it a doing sound that eventually drove me batty. You know how the crinkly sound of a Thermarest pad drives some people ape-ass? I could never relate to this complaint until now. I can still hear this sound in my head. I have more to say on these trekking poles, good and bad, but we'll leave that for another day. Next up are my socks. I've always been and always will be a die-hard fan of Bungzy toe socks. I purchased a new pair, these guys, before this trip, and they failed on me. No, they didn't develop a hole or rip. Instead, they stunk to high heaven. Maybe I'm to blame, but I wanted a black pair and neglected to notice or consider the fact that these were a synthetic Coolmax material. My goodness, I'm not one to have particularly smelly feet, but I'm talking the scent of death. Learn from my mistakes. Only wear wool socks when backpacking. Wool socks won't smell like roses, but they also won't smell like sun-baked tuna either. So from here on out, it's wool and Bungzy for me. That's it. Next up were my tent stakes. I tried Z-Pack's house brand of tent stakes on this trip, namely 2 of their titanium V stakes and 4 of their carbon fiber stakes and 2 of their titanium shepherd hook stakes. 1 titanium V stake and 1 carbon fiber peg stake didn't even make it home. They both broke beyond repair. I wanted to try some new stakes because a couple of my tried and true MSR carbon core stakes lost their tips. Well, lesson learned. No stakes will last forever, but that doesn't mean they are all the same. Bad stakes will break quickly and good stakes will break eventually. So I'm going back to my MSR stakes and a couple titanium V stakes from Tokes that I've used in the past. Also failing on this trip was my ever-new soft bladder. It started to leak around the hard plastic spout. I think the glue started to fail. This piece of gear had done more than its fair share over the years. The takeaway is not that it's not well made or that I need to find something better made, because I don't think it exists. Rather, it's that certain items like tent stakes and soft-sided bladders will not last forever. And it's prudent to carry redundancy for particular items. This, for instance, is one of the benefits of using a Sawyer filter. Its standard diameter size makes it compatible with all of your bladders and bottles. Hell, it makes it compatible with a disposable water bottle you pull out of a garbage can if need be. You can't say the same thing about filters like the Be-Free filter, which have non-standard diameters that make them compatible with only certain bladders. Spring a leak in your Be-Free bladder and you're kind of in a bind. You can't use a Be-Free with your typical water bottles. I have one more fail for you, and this was a messy one. I got my hands on some single-serving packets of olive oil. I was really excited about this. Well, I shouldn't have been. I packed several, and all it took was just one, springing a leak to make an absolute mess of my entire food bag. And by the way, this goes for hot sauce or any other fast food single-serving packets. The takeaway here? There are 2. First off, let's be honest, these single-serving packets are bad for the environment. Just unnecessary, non-recyclable waste ending up in a dump somewhere. And they're expensive on a per-serving basis, assuming you didn't just pinch them from some poor restaurant. And 2, they can leak. They're simply not designed to be crammed into a food bag where they will be stuffed and poked as well as under a lot of pressure. You can solve both problems by instead pouring and storing the amount of olive oil or hot sauce or whatnot you need in a small, far more sturdy squeeze bottle. And those would be my fails. Next up, how about my gear all-stars from this trip? I'll have that ready for you soon, so check back. Well, that's all the time I need. Let's make the dismount ultralight as well, so bye for now.